Hey guys, going to be doing a video on Kenneka Jenkins and also recapping John Q's live from last night. If you missed it, I'm going to try to do you right, John Q, but I'm going to try to cover what he talked about last night because I think it's important for my subscribers to hear it. I strongly urge you to go watch it because it's just important. But I'm going to try to recap it just in case someone doesn't want to take the time to go over and do that because it's just that important to me. So, this case has been going on 3 years, the Kenneka Jenkins case. And yes, even after 3 years, we're going to have new information that's going to come out. Everything is important in this case. And it's impossible to cover this in just one video because of how the information was given to us. And that's what John Q said last night, that we've got a ton of files broken into pieces. We've got surveillance videos. We've got different perspectives. And it's important how we present this information to our subscribers. We need to stay on track, focus, and be concerned with getting it right. Double check everything to be as accurate as possible and not be misled or misinformed about information. And he spoke about fear and realities. And when he spoke about fear, he's not speaking about fear in the emotional context, but he's using fear as an acronym, which stands for false evidence appearing real. False information appearing real. And it has definitely fallen into this case. He talked about double checking information because this case is so big and wide, and it's actually worldwide now. And everyone on the scene comes with different ideas and they present them in different ways. We have different backgrounds, educations. There's a lot of new people that have come on the scene because of the MTV True Life Crime Show episode that featured Kenneka Jenkins. Some of us have medical backgrounds, some have legal backgrounds, some of us have just plain old common sense. And there are also some of us that come on the scene just to cause a distraction of the truth. They want to take away from the facts of the case. They want to mix truth in with facts. Try to just slide it in there. Then you've got the my facts versus universal facts, which are facts that everyone can agree with. I took notes, so I'm trying to read my notes. You got one person's facts versus another person's facts. Differences in perspective. My truth versus your truth. And we're going to have a lot of updates coming soon because the court case, the civil court case where Teresa Martin, the mother of Kenneka Jenkins, has filed the lawsuit in Chancery Court in Cook County. And she has sued F&F Realty and all of its subsidiaries. And we need to worry about what's important and what's not. We need to involve ourselves to discern facts versus false information or information that just doesn't fall into place. And he shared a picture, and it was an interesting picture. And it was a picture exercise to regain focus on information pertaining to the case and in the footage. The picture was one of those types of pictures where you can see two different things in it. And we all come out with something different, just like in the 36-hour footage. You decide based on your perception. Whatever you're doing is giving meaning to this case. But be careful what you present. Stay on case and on universally accurate information. And explain fully your content. Tell people what they're seeing or what the narrative is. Don't lose your way. So if you show something, explain what, the people are supposed to be seeing or what you're seeing and see if, other people see that as well. So let's see. If I don't help you to understand something, hit the dislike button. That's just real. If you don't like my video, hit the dislike button. I'm here to try to help people to understand things, and I want this case solved more than anything in this world. I am so focused on this case, and I just want justice. I don't want donations. I don't want anything else but the truth to come out. Because I feel like there's a lot of people that got away with the murder here. He said to follow your senses because they will not let you down, and that is so true. He brought up an example of an engagement he had with a few other YouTubers where an individual supposedly had direct information, and it piqued several YouTubers' interest, and they went through this big conference call and made time in their schedules, and only to find out that that person had bits and pieces of things without answers. So basically they walked away from the conference call with more questions than answers. And learned nothing, essentially. They thought it was real. They believed the person had vital information. But when it came down to it, when they called him on the carpet about it, he didn't have very much to say. So that's the type of stuff that we need to talk about. So if someone comes on alive and says, I heard where blah, 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 stop doing that. First of all, if you do have information, say where you got it from. You know what I mean? Not I heard and this and this and this. Track down your sources of information. Don't listen to just what somebody's throwing in your ear and then pass it on to be the truth. You got to really sift through what appears to be real. In other words, does it fit or not? And if no, move on from it. Don't keep beating a dead horse. Let's see. Be careful what people are telling you. And do they have a receipt for it? And if they do, scrutinize those receipts. Talked about the court activity. And he said that somebody had said that the case was lost and closed in a live that he was in. And it had just started. It's about to start. So how could it even be closed before it even starts? That's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. And that's the kind of stuff that he spoke about last night. It's those little things that will drive you absolutely nuts. Where somebody says, oh, well, she didn't have a court case. Yes, she did have a court case. She currently does have a court case. So please stop saying that. You know, it's stuff like that that needs to be verified. Do your research. We can all go back to the famous Rosemont Crown Plaza doesn't have a pool. We all know who said that. And John Q had to call that person out on it and prove that, yes, Crown Plaza does have a pool. In other words, put the people's feet to the fire. When they say they have some information, put their feet to the fire. John Q talked about the letter that keeps coming up, or the email, or whatever it is, about the smoking with the maintenance man, and how everybody's kind of investigated that and found that not to be true, and not to really keep going through that. It's already been checked on, and it just didn't check out. Watch your documents and be mindful of them. You're doing a disservice to this case that we want to get resolved. If you keep putting stuff out that's not right, call people out on it. And then talking about Macho, and why would he give a statement where he admitted to rape and murder without fear of arrest? That's going back to the letter or the email that was circulating. Excuse me. That started circulating because it was a distraction. It was thrown in there to distort and dilute the process. And it really came from a sad person who had very, very low self-esteem. Um, yeah, so I won't go in on any more of that. And if you know something not to be true, call them out. Keep on the right track. There's a lot of newbies. Um, if you're in a live and you're hearing a bunch of information that you know for a fact is not true, unsubscribe from them, because you're just going to frustrate yourself to keep arguing with someone about something that you know for a fact is not true. And also, that goes for the people that you follow. I'll give you a good example. I was a full-fledged follower of this person. I was a moderator on the channel. For those of you that know me and have been riding with me from the beginning, you'll know where I came from, whose channel I'm talking about, because I'm not going to call them out. But, I mean, I was riding with her, and then she started going off in left field, and kind of have to bring her back in, be like, no, I don't believe that's true. Please don't put that out. I don't believe that's true. And so the stuff that's being talked about now with the whole Carl Nisbet and all that good stuff, we've already went around and around with that. We did that a couple of years back. So I just listen when someone drags it back up again to see if it goes anywhere else. But I eventually had to like step away from that person because I couldn't keep going along with her narrative because it was taking me nowhere. Like, she got way out in left field on it and I just couldn't go there. Then John Q mentioned about the Rosemont Public Safety Department and their Kenneka Jenkins timeline. And that he wasn't discrediting anyone, because this is the toughest part of the case to actually get together. And it's quite obvious why. We would have been a lot further in this case had we had a decent timeline to work from. We have dates and numbers according to surveillance cameras. These cameras in these areas were working. However, for those who have been working on the timeline, major problems since day one. There's missing footage, which makes it impossible. If he actually said this, if you have proof of broken timelines, lead him to the content creator. We need a conclusive timeline. And he gave his hats off to Trey Gang Production for trying to at least try to do it. And he said that, he's asked him about it and that Trey Gang is very frustrated, but he continues to try regardless. Because there's stuff that's been purposely taken out to keep us misinformed about things because it serves them a purpose. So you can say this and that about Trey Gang. Oh, he talks too much, or oh, he talks too country, or oh, he cusses, or this and that. But this man is doing this out of the kindness of his heart because he also wants justice, and he has taken his time to put this together, probably better than anyone else has to this point. So if you can't sit there and be patient while he works on this, I mean, that's a shame. This is for justice. This isn't for any other reason. John Q talked about how the Rosemont Public Safety Department, the police department, are probably watching us laughing in their chairs because we're still trying to piece together this timeline. We talked about the cameras, the back dock area, including Rosemont Police Department in there, the main lobby area. The camera footage from those cameras would have closed the gap. So they played Shut the Cameras Off on us and added 2 timestamps and added and subtracted footage, and knowing that we would be frustrated behind this. So he's giving props to Trey Gang again and for his continuing work on it. He appreciated the hard work and effort to get us better resolved, to get footage and timeline information. And I give my hat to him too. We talked about the footage and how the girls initially called Miss Teresa and told her that they had left Kenneka in the lobby. Well, where's the footage of that? If you go back to Trey Gang's live, you'll be able to understand where he thinks it is. So there's a lot of people that are trying to discredit him. Why discredit him? Why focus your energy on that? Why not try to help him? It seems like a lot of people in this case try to discredit other people's information, which is so strange to me. Like, try to help them. Try to figure it out. Instead of trying to discredit a YouTuber's information. That's just crazy to me. You're spending so much energy on something silly. He gave his hats off to Trey Gang. His hat off to Trey Gang, Straight Drop, Jackie Dragon. We're all getting different results. And we're all working on a different piece of this case. He acknowledged that there is no definitive timeline. And that's why we're looking elsewhere to try to tie the ends together. He showed a picture of the guard shack in the hotel parking lot at the Crown Plaza. He said that it was an important picture because it really is worth 1,000 words. Because had that camera been on, we would have better answers as to what happened that night. Because it's pointing straight into the exit position. And we would have seen the make and model of the vehicles leaving, and quite possibly the people in the vehicles. But the Crown Plaza decided to make sure this camera wasn't working. So that's another thing that frustrates the timeline. Talked about the picture of the freezer area in the lower level kitchen. She exited and re-entered and trying to find a way out. He showed his picture where he had an arrow above the red pipe, which showed the camera on top of it, which would have captured her in the basement. If it was on, we would know how long she was in there. That busted up the timeline again. And they know that. It's not rocket science. You don't have to have a white coat to figure that out. He showed a picture of the back dock area. Rosemont Police Department stated she was back there, and had that camera captured her, we would know how long she was there and who was with her. It just makes everything more difficult. It's not impossible, but it makes everything more difficult. But if you had looked closely in his picture, excuse me, the camera above the back dock entrance appears to be on. So as that photo was taken, the camera appears to be functional. Would that have given us a more conclusive timeline? Well, sure it would. But they made sure we didn't get that. The next picture he showed was a southwest entrance area. The area in which the girls came in via the southwest parking lot area. And it was before the construction had started of the Caddyshack restaurant. This is what they saw when they came in. And there was a camera above those doors. Where's that footage? It would show Bree leaving after TY's live. A better close-up of the stuff that was in her hand when she came back in. Would have shown her with her pocketbook. And it would have shown a timestamp. Let's see. He pointed out that we had the footage from the main lobby, especially the main lobby captured everyone. One of the most important cameras. High liability. He talked about liability at the hotel and how having these cameras on would have taken a lot of the liability away from the hotel. And wouldn't they have wanted that? Wouldn't they have wanted to decrease liability or reduce liability instead of increasing it? And how they've basically underestimated us. They didn't think we were going to sift through this footage and sift through all this information to try to figure out what happened. John Q also talked about Teresa Martin's case, and someone asked in the live how the case could be reopened, and he's hoping that Teresa Martin's attorney will capture this. About the liability, that just on the liability alone, I mean, she should have a slam dunk case there, but every camera angle we got was not by accident. It was specifically given to us for a reason. Just like all the angles that we need are missing. And he talked about how they'll have to prove the intent in the criminal case. Someone asked in the live who could do it, who could do this, and he said the FBI could do it, the Attorney General's office could do it, because of criminal negligence. That's it, plain simple. Based on what they gave us on that website and the Cook County autopsy with the trainee, it's just a major explosion. He also urged the content creators to keep working on this case, and to make a playlist so that if these attorneys need to view our information, they have something that they can quickly get on, click it, and go through the videos. Just simple as that. He spoke about the area of the 9th floor, and he talked about, according to the complaint, the hotel must explain if there were operating cameras, as they say. And if so, they should have been on all 14 floors. The main lobby camera is out. Teresa Martin's attorney must prove that there's a 9th floor camera. If he does that, that will prove that there's a 6th floor camera, etc. And that will give us new footage to help in identifying her in these areas. He talked about operable cameras and where the hole in their case is. John Q believes the camera on the 9th floor. He believes that there was a camera on the 9th floor. Because the security guard saw 3 females in the hallway. How would he have known there were 3 females in the hallway? Because the front desk told him? Because he saw them on the security camera? Right. That's what I'm thinking. It's all about liability. Showed a picture of the pool area. And he spoke about his call to the Rosemont Police Department, where they had quite an interesting conversation regarding the maintenance in the swimming pool area and the hotel key cards and the operational hours. Even though there's a privacy issue, a camera in the swimming pool area, especially because there's no lifeguard on duty. So regarding drowning, feces in the pool, etc. I mean, come on. Should have been a camera in that area. We have a pool in my area, and it's an Olympic-sized pool, and it's actually at a hotel, and they sell memberships, and there's cameras in that area. Because if somebody comes into that area that hasn't paid or is not a member, Well, they come right back there and kick them out. It's just very easy. He was talking about challenging the security guard statement. And when I'm talking about the security guard statement, I'm talking about um, the one that Trey Gang showed on his live recently, because it came from Macho. And don't forget, he's part of that staff. But hats off to Trey Gang. But it still came from the security guard. Don't forget that. The double timestamp puts two investigations into play. So you're looking at one time all the way through, and then you've got to rework it to look at the other time all the way through. That's difficult. And he also spoke about the no thorough walkthrough by the Rosemont Police Department in the kitchen area. And they want us to believe that that's accidental. We talked about crime scene contamination, with the food and beverage manager walking straight to the freezer, going back and getting the officer walking him out and going right back to the freezer himself, all by himself, opening up doors, etc., and how that contaminated the crime scene. We watched that on the footage. We all saw it with our own eyes. So we can say that that is a universal fact. We all saw that happen. That's a good example. He spoke about Chasing Truth, her channel where she interviewed the MTV producer. If you haven't seen that video, I'll strongly urge you to. That's a good video to watch. If you watch the beverage manager, when he went into that kitchen, going towards the freezer, and you watch his behavior, that's just not normal human behavior. He talked about the body language of him doing that. Him seeing this dead body in the freezer of this girl they've been searching for. Yeah, it's all off. It says 55% comes from body language. And if we look at his body language, it was off. It says Kenneka was found alone in the freezer. Why would she walk into the upper kitchen area of the hotel all by herself? Has anybody ever thought about that? I mean, really sat there and thought about that? So as the court case is unfolding, there's going to be some gross negligence going on now.